Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. Thanks for joining. Today's webcast is Accountant Marketing 101, Building an Exceptional Client Experience. My name is Sarah Lepisova, and I'm the SEO Manager at CountingWorks Pro.
And my name is Lee Reams. I'm the founder and CEO of CountingWorks Pro. And I think this topic is very important today, purely coming out of the COVID pandemic, as a lot of behaviors change. More people have moved to digital, their mobile phones, online experiences. So I think a lot of the points we're talking about today can be very helpful as you continue to transition to hopefully a better way to work.
I completely agree with that, Lee. So today we will cover all of the different elements that go into creating an exceptional client experience, especially now that things have changed ever since everyone has been remote since the pandemic. So we're going to cover the basics of creating a great client experience. We'll give you tangible steps, and then we will hopefully have some time for Q&A at the end. So this webinar is going to be approximately 50 minutes long, and we're going to have about 5 minutes at the end for Q&A. We're going to have 3 polling questions that need to be answered in order for you to receive CPE credit, and you can stay tuned till the end to receive a special offer. This is all going to be available for playback, and this webinar is designed for US-based tax and accounting practices. However, anyone may benefit from the takeaways in this presentation. So to participate in this webcast, you must be a CPA. You must participate and be on the webinar for the full 50 minutes to get credit, and you must be able to answer all of the polling questions. At the end, you will receive an email with the information on how to log in and create a CountingWorks Pro account on the CPE site as well.
Yeah, and then you can still, obviously, if you're an enrolled agent or a non-CPA, participate in the seminar. This is just purely for the CPE credit. All right, Sarah, thank you. So let's get started. So the question is your firm doing all it can to optimize your client experience? I a lot of times call this the user experience from a technical side, but basically every interaction that your clients have with your firm, is it a positive one? Are you making it easy for them to work with you? Are you taking friction out of the process? Are you putting your best foot forward? So when it comes down to it, operating a successful tax and accounting practice is so much more than just the actual act of doing the specific tax you're paid for. So it's not just the advice you're providing. It's not just, doing the tax return, the income statement, whatever. People are expecting a better overall user experience, similar to what they find in other aspects of their life. And what COVID pandemic has done is it's accelerated the transformation of people that are used to perhaps the way it's always been done. Whether you as an advisor, are primarily working through paper, you're primarily working in an office. Today, clients and you should take advantage of these new technologies and make it easier for both of you. So it's about ensuring your clients are happy with the way they're experiencing your firm. Otherwise you can be sure you'll start losing clients to competitors who care. And the reason I say that is there's a lot of noise out there right now. There's a lot of new upstarts. Intuit is obviously trying with their bookkeeping live to get into small business accounting. You got KPMG, you have startups backed by big money like pilot.com. So there's a lot of ways, a lot of alternatives, I guess is the way to say it. In addition, you have the accounting software and tax software automating more and more in tasks of what you do today. So, what you need to start doing to differentiate yourself is to take advantage of the same type of technology changes and add them to your current firm. So the last few years have drastically changed how firms can interact with their clients, as technology has opened a window of opportunity for firms to revitalize their client experience. So today we'll run through the best practices and strategies to ensure your clients receive the most seamless experience possible to keep them coming back forever. So let's start with the 6-step retention cycle. So this is important. The prospect phase is something we go through on a lot of different webinars and webcasts, but here we're going to concentrate more on the actual serve, satisfied, and get your clients to become advocates of your firm. So that is part of the client phase. So these are the things that we work on with our CountingWorks Pro platform in ways that we can make this experience from the beginning of the prospect phase through the client phase easier, and less, as again, I say, less friction in the process. So setting the tone. Your clients' perceptions begin before they walk through your door. Okay, and that's during the prospect phase. So that is, how are you describing your firm online? What are others saying about you in reviews? What type of social proof and case studies are you putting out on your website and your digital marketing efforts? So things clients will take into account: finding your information with ease. So can they find your contact information, directions to your office, your email, what your reviewers say? I always say the best salespeople are your clients. They will tell stories in a way you never would in advertising copy, and people can identify with it. They can relate to it. They can see empathy and, the real trust, real responsiveness, things that people will say in these reviews. So then again, how easy is it to contact you? Is your email listed? Do you make it difficult? Do you hide your phone number? Is it easy to ask a question? Is it easy to book an appointment and navigate through your website? So these are things that set the tone of that user experience. So best in class brands, they cut through this. They work through it to make it very easy for their users to find this information. And then just a couple examples. So do you have an interactive map on your website? Do you have a easy contact form if for whatever reason it's off hours, weekends, that someone could contact you, ask a question? Do you make it easy to schedule an appointment with you with an online calendar tool like Calendly or even CalendarWorks Pro's version? So that's kind of, you can start setting the tone. Onboarding. So once the tone is set and the client chooses you, keep the momentum going. So it shouldn't be hard work to become your client. And this happens every day during your experiences. I was trying to donate to a charity actually this morning, working on just a website that would be, you think could be easy. All I have to do is click a button, enter my credit card. But no, they had me go through hoops, and I abandoned that session, so to speak. So if you have similar kind of obstacles in, when your client decides, okay, I'm ready to hire you, but you're still mailing engagement letters, you're faxing things back and forth, you're difficult to get a hold of. If you don't have a process in place, a workflow in place, that is something that will, I think, affect the amount of clients you can serve, their satisfaction rate, the amount of referrals they send you, the reviews they give you, and even the amount of money you can charge. So here's some basic stuff on onboarding. So offer a simple onboarding process. So obvious digital engagement letters. That's easy to do with e-sign. It's easy to manage, easy to get that handled. Digital intake forms and questionnaires. So gather as much information as you can pre-appointment or pre-interview by utilizing technology. Secure document sharing, messaging, tracking and missing information using technology, digital document review and approval. And then, of course, the online signatures, the e-sign, make sure you're using KBA compliant as well there. Use VoIP calling, so you can ask a client calls from anywhere. Use the cloud, so you can work on clients from anywhere. These are things that make onboarding a lot easier. So if you have this set up in a system or kind of a workflow, it will make it much easier for both the client and you to work with the client. So onboarding, and here's just some examples I put in here. Our version of the e-signature tools that we have. But basically a portal that's branded to your firm, make the user experience great, greet them, hello, make it so it's easy to get these digital engagement letters or 8079s processed. So we roll into polling question number one. So polling question number one, and we'll try to give you about 30 seconds per. I know sometimes you're not looking at the screen, but here you go. Your client's experience with you begins before they even choose to be their selected professional. They even choose you to be their selected professional. So A, true, B, false. Give you a few seconds here. And the answer obviously is true, but I'm going to move on here. So the basics of a great client experience. So what do your clients care about most? So we did a big survey to 2,500 small business owners, high net worth individuals, and they ranked the items that they cared about the most. Number one was knowledge. Number two was trustworthiness. Number three, responsiveness. Number four, friendliness. Now, what's interesting, of course, knowledge is number one, but how do you differentiate your knowledge to other professionals without establishing a strong digital footprint? And that comes down to are your websites, is your digital media communicating knowledge? Is it communicating that you're trustworthy, that you care about security, that you're responsive? Are people saying you're responsive in the reviews? And more importantly, you're just putting your personality into your website. A lot of times we see websites that are created by accountants that are just blah. There's no personality whatsoever. And we really try to push our clients to, kind of push your personality when you do that. And that's part of the user experience. The other thing that we found is out of 2,500 of these surveyed people, mistakes were the number one reason clients felt they had a negative experience. That kind of makes sense, but if you're not responsive to those mistakes, that's the way it compounds itself. So number one, knowledge. How do you enhance your knowledge? We always say in order to provide 5-star service to your clients, make sure you're knowledgeable. So not only in the latest rules and regulations, but in best practices for their specific industry. So I'm going to talk a couple things about just purely education. If you're a tax pro, obviously trying to stay on top of tax law now is not a yearly, annual, I'm going to take a fall update. It's monthly. Tax laws have changed. Rulings have changed. We have in our total practice program, we do monthly webcasts that kind of highlight this so you can stay on top of things. But the reality is it's that hard now. You have to do that. So utilize resources like our Tax CPE Learning Center, our Big Book of Taxes, which we update year round, but put emphasis on the quality of your work. Remember, a couple of things. The more educated you are, less time you're researching, the better quality of your work, right? So it's a no-brainer. But as we've learned above, mistakes are the number one issue that can derail a positive client experience. Trustworthiness. So prove your trustworthiness. How do you do that? You stick to the deadlines. You respond to emails timely. Even if you don't have an answer, just respond, say, hey, I received this, I'm working on it, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Always follow through on what you say you will do for the client. Showcase you have your client's best interest in mind from the beginning. The accountants are the number one trusted professionals for a reason. And it's important that you continue to earn that trust, right? Always manage expectations, especially if it means saying no or having an awkward conversation with a client that's pushing the envelope. You don't want to do something that's unethical or illegal, and you need to create those boundaries. And I think most clients, the ones that are worthy of being your clients, will respect that. Responsiveness. So prioritize your responsiveness. Prospects expect you to respond quickly to their inquiries, but so do clients, probably even more so. So when it comes to this, and this is, I think, the biggest issue we see on pros that receive 1-star reviews is they are not responsive. And, I know they're busy. Your clients know you're busy, but at the same time, it's not really your client's problem that you're busy. It's the industry that we live in. So, you have to step back and say, okay, what's the view from their side? How are they looking at things? So make it a priority to respond to your clients as quickly as possible. And more importantly, use technology to make this easier for yourself. And, so voice over IPs, using digital workflow tools like Trello, using tools like Slack that make it easy for you to communicate and collaborate with partners and other people in your staff. These are all tools that make it easier for you to be responsive. And as long as you do that, I think clients can appreciate and understand, hey, it might take me a little longer to get back to you, but at least I know they're working on it. Friendliness. I say friendliness and personality, but it matters as well. So while many engagements are completely virtual these days, our teleaccountant product has shown that is working very well with millions of minutes of interviews being done virtually. But the reality is you still have that one-to-one connection, whether you're meeting virtually or in person. You can still be friendly and patient in all your client communication, even if it's not face-to-face. Show your personality. People, consider you as the most trusted advisor, sometimes as a friend, and a lot of times as a friend. So, this is kind of, you guys already know this because you have this relationship with your client, but those that are reluctant to do this or show their personality, I think it's an easy way to serve your clients better than the competition. So, if they're going to someone who's just blah and doesn't really show much personality, doesn't connect with their clients, their churn rates are going to be much higher. So include friendliness in the business model as you move forward, which leads us to polling question number 2. What is the number one most important factor small business owners care about when working with a professional? And we just had this nice chart. So friendliness, A, B, trustworthiness, C, knowledge, D, responsiveness. I will say E, all of the above, but we'll go ahead and give you a few more seconds before we show this. And it is C, knowledge. So I will start moving on. Hopefully you've had time to get polling question number 2 set. So thank you. All right, going from great to exceptional. So this is good. This is good stuff here. So make communication easy. This goes back to prioritizing responsiveness. So your clients know you're busy, but they also want to be able to reach you when needed. So make yourself or your office available through multiple channels and in whatever you feel comfortable with, because I don't want you to open a channel, for example, let's say you're using Facebook Messenger, but you never log into it. Don't use it or don't make it so that's readily available. So make it very clear in your communications. This is the way you can communicate with us. The other thing you need to realize is different clients have their own preferences, right? So they might want to just work with you purely through text or phone. They might want to just work with you through teleaccountant, email, whatever it is. So make sure that it's very clear how you like to be communicated with. So from your email, your phone, Skype, Slack. We use Slack. I'm a big fan of Slack, or another web-based calling platform. We also use RingCentral for voice over IP if you're looking for that. Chat bots on your website, social media messaging. We've been using chatbots for our VIP clients, and the goal of those is to communicate and interact with clients during off hours. So you're not always available. Your staff obviously is not always available. People come in at all sorts of weird hours. Make it so they can find answers, to most of the most pressing questions. So how do I get directions to your location? How do I schedule an appointment? What are your pricing? Basically an FAQ, when do I expect my refunds? Whatever. You can come up and kind of build out these chatbots to answer most of these questions without some of the things that may not be income driving inquiries that your chatbot could actually answer for you. So make communication easy. So a tip here, protect your free time. I know, especially the last year, it's been a very stressful industry for sure, a profession, I would say. And, a lot of people are realizing life balance. They're starting to understand to put their own boundaries up. But the beauty of technology is that you can protect your free time. So, make sure your clients know your team are available to help, but be consistent with managing communication. So for example, if you go on vacation, have an out of town response. It's nothing worse than someone waiting. You were on vacation for 2 weeks, don't respond to a client, and then, they get upset. So those are the kind of things to make, just to think of. Approach communication from the viewpoint of the client. So try to understand the drivers causing them to reach out. If they seem frustrated or anxious, do your best to talk through the issue and answer any questions they have. An easy way to streamline your client communication is to offer an online scheduler. And you'll see a lot of this in the software business. We obviously drive a lot of inquiries or prospects to our own calendar tool. And basically what it does is you'll make it easier to get someone from an inquiry to a scheduled appointment. So online scheduling, basically they work 24/7. So you're not as reliant on staff. Your scheduling allows clients to choose meeting times without going back and forth, so they can find something that works for them. They respect you and your client's time, right? And they reduce the administration burden and room for scheduling errors. So there's a bunch of different tools. We have CountyWorks Pro. We just came out with our new version, an upgraded version of our scheduling tool, but there's Calendly has a great tool, Acuity, so there's a bunch of different options. But if you are not utilizing an online appointment form, you can also use this for free discovery calls. And what we have found is people that offer free discovery calls actually will convert a lot more web visitors. You're taking friction out of the buying process. You're making it easier to communicate with you. You're doing it so the technology is working for you. So these are just another reason to use an online scheduler. So I'm going to go now to phone. I'm pivoting a little bit, but we're still on make communication easy. So 6 best practices for the use of the phone. So keep your voicemail cleaned out. I cannot tell you how many of our professionals have full voicemails. And then they wonder, well, I'm not getting any, converting any leads. Well, guess what? The leads are calling you and your voicemail's full. They can't even talk to you. They're moving on. So that's definitely which I don't understand in the technology world, especially with VoIP. Your voicemail should never be full. It should be infinite. So definitely clean it out. Make sure that you are using best practices. It's common sense, but a lot of people do not. Answer the phone like a business. Some people put their mobile phones, they'll answer very casual. And if you have certain business clients, that's something you need to think about, answering the phone like a business at any time. Stay on top of your vacation messages. We talked about that earlier. Create a professional automated attendant greeting. This can route the calls quicker. You don't want to be stuck in like a Verizon phone tree, but you definitely can at least start the phone call. You can use an automated attendant to cut costs. You don't need humans to do, operating duties anymore. And that's another way to, start putting out a very professional image, so to speak. Designed a simple phone menu. Example, press 0 for the receptionist, press the pound key to get back. There's a bunch of different ways. Again, we use Ring Central, which I highly recommend it for VoIP, but there's a lot of different VoIP tools that are out there. And number 6, quickly respond to new prospects. The Harvard Business School or Journal, they did a bunch of studies. You can Google it, about responsiveness to inbound inquiries. And if you can do it within basically a 5-minute period when a new prospect comes in, the chances of you landing that business are exponentially higher than those that take over an hour or longer. So quickly respond to new prospects. This is something, one of the biggest takeaways here is make sure you put it in a process in your firm. So if you have staff that's handling inbound inquiries, maybe even if they're like qualifying them, just respond quickly. You can stop them from searching online and calling to the next person they find. So I think number 6 is one of the biggest things that you can tweak and really make a big change on the amount of people that you actually bring in for new business. Oh, and what is voice over IP? So I keep talking about voice. Voice over internet protocol is the technology that converts your voice to digital signal, allowing you to take calls directly over the internet instead of regular phone number. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. Many of you are using VoIP already. But during the pandemic, I could not believe how many professionals basically almost had to shut down their office because they were still using analog phones. They were stuck. If they weren't in their office, they were basically out of business, which, there's no reason for that today in the digital age. And VoIP, it's not only the convenience, you can work anywhere. It can follow you to your mobile phone. So it's a big benefit. So increased accessibility across the board. You can take calls from anywhere. Portability. So take your calls no matter where you are. And it makes it easier. So you can have some freedom. You can kind of have a work-life balance where you're not exactly working, but you're still able to serve your clients by taking calls while you're on the road or on a mobile device. Clear voice quality, conduct better phone calls with your clients without the risk of line dropping, easier multitasking, and integrate more features into your meetings, document sharing, e-sign, et cetera. We did that with our teleaccountant tool. So you can hold more robust meetings with clients. And then better conferencing options. So more flexibility with conferencing options allow you to run meetings with multiple parties seamlessly. So this is the big one. Simplify the document signing and sharing. I'm still surprised, surveys, I see how many accountants are still doing it the same way as last year. And they're still using paper. They're still using paper questionnaires. They are still mailing documents. They're still using presentation folders. They're still using envelopes. The reality is maybe there's a small part of your client base that likes that still because they are not digitally active, but the vast majority has moved to online. They're used to it. The pandemic helped them move to it. So simplify document signing and sharing, and make sure you have security in mind when you're doing this. So make document sharing as easy as possible. I say prioritize simplicity and security. So you use technology to streamline these processes. So what processes are we talking about? Secure document sharing portals. There's other tools that are non-login. You can ask about the security issues there. If someone's email gets hacked, that's up to you. But the reality is there's a bunch of different options. At least use something that has security built in for that. Obviously, knowledge-based authentication for any 8879 or any IRS document that requires that your client verifies that they are who they say they are when they're signing digitally, and of course, e-sign tools. So these are to me, no-brainers, but some people are still working in the old way. And I don't know if it's just, I don't want to change it. It worked for me. The reality is you have to change because the world has changed. And if you're the only one left still working in a paper world, you're going to find your practice dwindling. And more important, when you go to sell it, it's not as valuable. You need a practice that is digitally enhanced. So never leave things to chance by sending documents back and forth via email or any other unsecured channel. Accountants are a huge target for phishing campaigns. We receive them and see them daily now. It's crazy how much is going on as far as people trying to get access to your email. And once they get access to your email, trying to capture other information. So simplify document signing and sharing. Simplify payments. A lot of accountants are moving to pure digital workflows for this. I 100% agree. We're working on our own version of that for later on in our roadmap. But basically, online payments are the new normal. In fact, they are preferred by the majority. An interesting stat here, 52% of millennials never use checks, right? 9 out of 10 postal customers want to pay bills online, even if they choose to receive their bills in the mail. So I know this is pretty clear for most people, but not everyone has jumped onto this yet. And think about it. If you make it easier to get paid, you're going to get your cash flow faster, right? So people aren't going to sit on checks. You're not going to float of people mailing checks, waiting for the US mail that's gotten slower and slower. So by simplifying your payment process, your customers will feel more secure about making payments with you, feel less inconvenienced by the payment process. Again, take the friction out of your relationships, have a better overall client experience. I think these are important. Stripe is a very popular tool for payments. There's a lot of different ones. We like Stripe. We use Chargeify as well, but we like Stripe purely because of the technology. Sometimes their fees might be a little bit more, but the ease of their technology is a lot of times worth it more than just worrying about the payments. Now, here's an easy one that a lot of people overlook, but think about it. When clients receive messages they didn't expect, it just helps bring some more goodwill. So automate messaging and e-cards. So adding a personal touch to your client communication can make all the difference. So set up automated emails or e-cards for important due date reminders. So this could be tax due date reminders. This could be property taxes, whatever. We have a tool that automates this. It sends either email, voice, or text messages. Important dates in your clients' lives, birthdays, anniversaries, their anniversary with working with you, major holidays. It's just these little things that make you stand out. It's much better to be in top of mind with your clients than them thinking I only hear from my accountant once a year. So utilize tools that help you automate messaging and e-cards. Tip, this is one of the easiest ways to stand out and put a smile on your client faces. I highly recommend integrating, whether your CRM tool does it today or a tool like CountingWorks Pro. I 100% think this is worth the investment. Here's just some real quick examples: birthdays, New Year's. We make them a little more with the kind of tax and accounting slight to them. So this is the other one. Make your newsletters stand out. Newsletters are essential to keeping your clients informed and engaged. They are probably the most valuable item in the CountingWorks platform. We do an automated monthly newsletter. We have tons of content. We have the ability to version the content, add your own content, edit the content, add your own intro message. We make it fully customizable. The reality is it costs a lot of money to write articles that are technical in nature. So, it's nice, a tool like CountingWorks Pro, we do all of it for you. We are the ones that make you look good. And what happens is you see a lot of reviews, clients talking about, posting about what they saw in their newsletters. It also drives off-season consultations. We target a lot of life events, which makes it so, if you had not reached out, you may have missed a planning opportunity, right? So include links to relevant content you posted on your blog, social media, publish content that is relevant to your clients' niches and industries. Stay up to date with industry news and keep your clients updated on things they need to know in real time. And the reality is mainstream media, a lot of times they tackle articles with a political tilt versus the actual what a client needs to know, right? So what's nice is our newsletter is does that. It's written not in a too technical standpoint. We definitely don't try to teach them a DIY. We're basically educating them. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what you need to think of. Call me. And that's kind of the goal. So your goal should be to go beyond the job you're paid to do, surprise people, and to be seen as a voice of authority in your industry. And authority and trust are big indicators to Google on how your brand is indexed as well. So it all kind of ties together. So make your newsletter stand out. Here's just a couple of examples. Include timely topics, keep your readers engaged. Set yourself up as a thought leader in your industry. Prompt your clients to ask questions, make appointments, give reviews. There's an easy way to automate research. So this is definitely a nice item that if you're not doing newsletters, you should do them as you move forward throughout this year. So make it possible for clients to work with you 100% virtually. And I think this year has taught us a lot about the way we work, the way we communicate, the way we collaborate with our staff and our clients. So in our 2019 small business survey, shows 61% of small business owners prefer telemeetings over meeting in person with their accounting professional. That was before the pandemic. My guess is that number is in the high 80s now. And think about it, you can accomplish a lot and still have a personal relationship without having that drive, without having someone have to sit in a lobby and wait for you. And you're more efficient as well. You can be where you want to be. You can take meetings where you want to take them. So it's definitely something I think if you have not already done, you need to make sure that you are 100% on the cloud and virtual interviews. So here's a couple other stats though. As millennials transition into the workforce, a shift to the cloud has become an imperative. So there's a certain segment of the population that are completely digital. They've never dealt with paper. And as they get older and as they start earning more money, as they start setting up small businesses, they're going to expect the same, they're almost going to, like, what do you mean you want me to send? I have to fax this. You're going to email me and I have to print out a document and sign it and mail it back to you, an engagement letter. I mean, those are the kind of things that is what they're going to be thinking. So here's some more stats. I know accountants, we like data. So 58% of small businesses do not expect to meet with their accountants in person anymore. 52% of millennials never use checks. We've used these stats before. 9 out of 10 postal service customers want to pay bills online, right? So this is more of why this is important. So invest in digital tools. We developed Teleaccountant, which was a web-based, so basically a link-based interview tool. And what's nice about that is it was not an app to download, not an app you had to upgrade because it's now on a new version. And it made it much easier with any type of internet-connected device to get a client on a meeting. So basically with our tool, it's built on the same technology that Google uses, but basically it just creates a secure link. That link is unique every single time. So it doesn't have the same type of repeat links that Zoom was having where people are jumping on and figuring out which links to go and jumping onto Zoom meetings when they shouldn't. So whatever you use, if it's Zoom, whatever different tools, teleconferencing software, invest in that tool. Online appointment scheduling, secure portal, KBA, knowledge-based authentication. That is what, again, the IRS requires for signing certain documents online, and obviously e-sign. So the more personal your virtual office feels, the happier your clients will be. And what we've done with Teleaccount, we put your branding on it. We integrated our secure document sharing tool. We have an icon or a little tool that will take a screen capture of the client with their ID next to it. So you're now also validating or verifying the ID. And if you need that, if the IRS ever audits you, you will have that. But basically, invest in these tools. It makes total sense. It's going to make your life better. Real quick screen capture of our Teleaccountant tool. Again, we have the ability to record, that you can have staff look at the interview and be able to finish the work. You can share documents. You can share your screen. So it does everything that you would want. But again, it is a link based. So all someone needs is that private link, and they can access the meeting. So it is a wonderful tool. And again, we've been hosting millions of meetings every month. So millions of minutes of meetings every month. So it's been a really well received tool so far. So continuing with make it possible for clients to work with you virtually. Best practices, develop your digital footprint. So what does that mean? Are you using HTTPS security? So that's SSL security. There are a lot of accountants that are not. And I mean, that goes against the IRS standards as well with security on your website. So any website that has a form that is not protected by SSL security means someone theoretically could hijack that information if someone fills out your form on your website. That's a big security flaw. And more importantly, most browsers, when they go to that site, they're getting a red alert saying this site is not secure. So do you think you're going to work with an accountant with a non-secure website? I don't think so, right? So make sure you develop your digital footprint on your website, your blog, social media, citations, reviews. These are all important items to get your website and your brand indexed. And if you're using different marketing funnels, whatever it is, make sure that everything is secure. Utilize cloud-based onboarding tools. Make it easy for people to call you, VoIP technology, client engagements, integrating workflows, e-sign for engagement letters, doing online questionnaires, making people basically can do all this from the mobile device, right? So utilize cloud-based onboarding tools. Number 3, make it easy for clients to securely interact with you online. So that goes back to, whether you have a secure portal, you're using Slack, online payments, these are the different things that you would utilize when it comes to virtual. So we look at the client experience basically is the front end, which we showed you on that, the prospect phase is how do we attract people? How do we get them into your ecosystem? So now that we have them in your ecosystem, let's start with taking the friction out of the process. So how do we now make it easy for them to make an appointment? So now they've made an appointment. How do we make it easy to collect documentation from them? So what kind of workflows, what kind of simple questionnaires can we have that push out to the clients digitally? Make it easy for them then to upload documents that you're needing to send over to you. At that point, you start doing the serve mode. So you're actually doing the service, you're doing the work, whatever that is. Let's pretend it's a tax return, you're using your tax software. If you had any missing information, try to have technology chase that. But basically, you're doing that kind of outside of Accounting Works Pro type of platform. Once you're ready to get your work approved, then you need another workflow. So how do you present that information professionally? Client says, yes, this is good to go. Move them on to an 8879 signature and then payment. Or they're saying, hey, no, I want some changes. Have some feedback loop so you can get that to where you can then get through payment. So those are kind of things that we want you to start thinking about is when we're talking about 100% virtual. So let's go to being an exceptional listener. I think this is important. It's kind of a character flaw for me. Sometimes I don't listen as much, I talk more, but basically listen to what your clients have to say, both positive and negative. And what we want to say is people like to feel they've been heard, okay? And you can only fix issues with client experience if you know what the issues are. So ask for feedback and then take steps to address it. If you're getting negative reviews for something that seems to be a recurring problem, look at it. Is it staff? Is it processes? What can I do to improve upon that? Any engagement as you're finished, you should be asking for feedback automatically. We do that with our review tool. And you want to hear, hey, was this successful? Are you happy? Was it good enough experience that you would refer me to other people? That's kind of thing that by listening and actually, understanding that you're dealing with humans is the way you're going to make your practice better. Which leads us to polling question number 3. 61% of small business owners prefer to work with their tax or accounting virtually. True, A, or B, false. We'll give you a little time here. As you can tell, we like stats. So I'll give you a few more seconds. And the answer is true. So let's move on. So hopefully by now you understand why client experience matters. I believe that it will be as big of a differentiator in the future as your knowledge. It will be what is the knowledge of the person that I am working with, and B, do they make it easy for me to work with them? So many factors keep tax and accounting pros as the #1 trusted advisor: unbiased advice, intimate financial relationships, responsiveness, and much more. And utilizing a tool like CountingWorks Pro will only make all of those items even better. So going the extra mile by making your services streamlined, simple, and secure will undoubtedly keep your clients as happy as they can be, so they can advocate for you in the future. So the whole goal here is the more happy clients you have, the more the ambassadors of your brand. So there's nothing better than a word of mouth referral. No matter what, people, yes, if they get a referral, they're still going to Google your name and they're going to see what your digital footprint looks like. But basically, this is a key element in kind of whether or not you're going to be successful in the future or not. So use what you learned today to leave your competitors in the dust as the digital age transforms the way successful firms prosper and grow. So let's talk. Yes, I'm here to educate. Yes, I'm here to share knowledge and experience and kind of what we've seen in best practices. But yes, we do actually sell a product as well. So CountingWorks Pro helps forward-thinking tax and accounting firms perfect their client experience and develop meaningful relationships at scale. And what we mean by that is we create processes that are scalable versus the old way of one-to-one referrals. So how can we find this entire client experience? So from the beginning, attracting clients, converting clients, intaking clients, serving the clients, getting sign off and payment, and at the end, start that whole loop over again with client retention. So what's nice about a service like ours, we integrate all of these tools into one platform. Our scale product starts at $80 a month, and we have several other products that are higher end as far as the SEO side and kind of how much awareness, how much traffic do you want to get? So you need to decide, hey, am I more into client retention or am I more into new client acquisition? What is nice though is having a tool like ours is much more cost effective than trying to work with a bunch of different tools that may not necessarily work together. And that's kind of the premise of how we put our product together. So everything from eSign, tax and accounting marketing library, we do videos, we have video blogs, automated monthly newsletters, website and blog content, video meetings with our teleaccountant tool, mobile-friendly websites, fast websites, nurture campaigns for leads, CRM, secure client portal, digital workflows, and of course, the online appointment scheduling. So this graph is chart was just basically kind of trying to communicate that for you. And then let's talk about a little of our success stories. So at CountingWorksPro.com, we do have a case study section that's full of information about clients that we've worked with, kind of the results that we have seen for people that follow our advice. Here's two of them. Olaru's Premier Tax Services received a 900% search engine visibility growth. And these numbers have grown since this chart, but 335% organic traffic growth. These are huge numbers. 81 online reviews. We have many professionals, well over 100 reviews. Stephen Voigt, a CPA in Arizona, another one. A lot of great client increases, 220%. So this stuff works. You just need to kind of buy in. It's not, it's about time to change your ways. You got to embrace the digital. It's not a scary thing. We have actually kind of perfected it. And as we continue to embrace technology and invest in our platform, we're going to make it easier and easier for you to work with your clients in the future. Which leads me to the most important polling question, number 4. Do you want additional tips and tricks on how to improve your client experience? I'm hoping that we've given you enough insight kind of on how things work, and we can show you how our firm at CountingWorks Pro can help you. So I'm hoping as many people answer yes as possible here, but we do like to speak with you guys later. And we have some great consultants, very friendly and showing our personality, easy to access through our online calendar tool as well. And we also have a free trial that you can jump on. So we'd love to talk to you about your digital footprint and kind of how you're going to transition into the digital age. So hopefully you will say yes here. And I think we're getting close to getting into the Q&A. So Sarah, start collecting any Q&A. I think we have a time for maybe 3 questions. But before we get there, I do have some special offers. As an attendee of this presentation, if you mention Web20, you can get 20% off the first 3 months for any new client or new add-on monthly marketing package. This does not apply to Spotlight since we already have a discount on Spotlight. that is active right now. So all setup fees will be waived up to $495 in savings. Some restrictions may apply, but please reach out to us at accountingworkspro.com. Follow us on social media. Give us a call if you have questions, 800-442-2477, extension 3. But I think that brings us into the Q&A. So Sarah, what do we have here?
Definitely. So I'm seeing the first question here is, I am concerned about the security of the cloud. What can I do to make my practice secure?
Yeah, and I'm happy you're concerned about the security of the cloud. I'm concerned security for the entire profession, right? So tax and accounting professionals are targeted often by phishing campaigns, for all kinds of different hacking type of campaigns. So it is good to be concerned. One of the suggestions, and I'll just give you one big takeaway here, is I would suggest setting up a VPN. So a VPN is a virtual private network. And basically what that is a low cost. You can set it up per user. You can set it up where you can remotely access your office as well. So, it doesn't matter where your computer is, as long as you have internet access and using a VPN, you can securely access all elements of the cloud, including your own office. But basically a VPN is a technology that lets you use the cloud to access the internet and your apps securely and privately. A VPN service will keep your online activities, things like your IP address and location, from other people. So we recommend, and many of my staff uses NordVPN, but definitely that would be my takeaway on security. We've written some blog articles about best practices for security that you can find and access on our AccountingWorks Pro blog. But if you wanted one takeaway in security, 100% use a VPN. Be very careful with the way you use your passwords. Make sure they're different for every single account and keep your email secure. And if you do all that, you're going to be fine. The cloud is secure. It's just access to your access points to the cloud that become unsecured. So that means if you click the wrong phishing email or something like that. So that is a good, short, concise answer.
Thank you. The next question I have here is coming in. It says, we had technical issues getting clients on Zoom this year. Do you have any suggestions for that?
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me, because any application like Zoom that requires a download, you need to make sure that app is already downloaded. So a lot of times, not everyone is a student who's been using Zoom all year, so they may not have it on that device, or they may have it on their home computer or not on their phone, for example. And then the other big issue is they didn't upgrade to the latest version. So we have heard a lot of feedback. We developed our video interview tool, our teleaccountant product, based on the ability to set, all you need to set up a video basically is you just click start private meeting, and then we send your clients a private link to join your video interview call. So it's really simple. That's it. There's no complicated installation or logins for your clients. Plus we integrate our secure document messaging tool right into the interface, making it easy to interview clients and collect data simultaneously. We even have a screen capture tool where you could have the person pull their ID out and their obviously their person, and take a screen capture that would validate that you are speaking and interviewing the person that they say they are, for compliance with the IRS. And the teleaccountant tool, we've hosted millions of minutes of meetings through tax season so far. So it's been through a full season of a robust use. So I definitely recommend looking at that technology from AccountingWorks Pro.
Definitely. And then a little bit earlier, you had mentioned chatbots. Could you talk a little bit more about what they are and what they're designed to do?
Sure. I mean, so let me differentiate. There's 3 types of chatbots. Sometimes people call them chat boxes. There's a different terminology, but basically you can have a chat bot or a chat box that is a human taking live chat. You can have a chat bot that is completely AI. So meaning it's only a computer receiving questions and basically having pre-programmed answers to those questions. Or there's a hybrid approach where you can have kind of an AI knowledge base connected with human side. So we use Intercom for our company for that. And we have a knowledge base set up, and then we have live chat that jumps on. For our clients, we have, most can't afford the more robust technology. They don't have enough visitors to have humans involved. So what we've used is chatbot technology for our VIP clients that basically will understand the questions that are being provided and respond accordingly. So a well-built chatbot can flow users to their answers and collect contact information for those that did not resolve their inquiry. So we use chatbots for our tax and accounting clients to direct them to things like scheduling appointments, getting directions, contact information, FAQs, and much more. So they're just another tool to help you engage your audience after hours or when you are not available. And it really just helps your overall client satisfaction. It's another way to convert kind of anonymous viewers. So we're real pleased with what they're doing.
Yeah, and it looks like we have time for one more question. So I'm just going to pull this one. You mentioned earlier, the digital life cycle. Can you explain that and kind of explain what you were referring to?
Yeah, and I think this is the biggest mindset change that accounting professionals do. A lot of us, we're used to a certain way of doing things, and still a lot are using paper as their main kind of workflows and in the way they set up appointments and everything. So what I'm trying to get is, I want CPAs, EAs, tax pros to start thinking differently. So start leaving the paper world, and basically we're developing CounterWorks Pro product about the sequence that a prospect follows through delivered services and through then the retention phase. So what I mean by that is we want to digitize the entire client experience. And what this does is it makes it easier. Again, I talk friction. It takes friction out of the buying process for your users, and it saves you a ton of time. But more importantly, it really improves the customer experience. So what are these kind of digital lifecycle sides? So there's number one, how do clients find you and decide to start working with you? Obviously, that's establishing a digital presence, having a professional website, ranking well. So there's a whole kind of marketing component to that. And number two, now that they're there, how do we convert and schedule an appointment with you? So how can we digitize that experience? How can we make it so you convert more prospects to become actual clients with you? So now, okay, they decided to work with you. They go through an appointment. Maybe they do discovery call. They're ready to be onboarded. So, what is an intake experience? So, do you have a digital engagement letter? Do you have intake forms? Do you have digital questionnaires? You don't need to be sending those bulky tax prep, created 14-page questionnaires that a lot of times they're asking questions that don't even apply to people. So, how do you digitize that experience? And then from there, okay, now you've collected the information. How do you collaborate with staff and complete the work? We integrated our digital workflows with Trello. I think we have 30 plus digital workflows. There's a bunch of different workflow products that are out there. CounterWorks Pro is not, as of now, planning to get into what I'll call the production side, but we are planning to integrate some with these other tools. Meaning, how do you get PDFs out of your tax software? How do you actually do the work, collaborate with your staff? We're kind of letting that happen outside of our ecosystem. But from there, then, okay, now you're ready to present the final product, and service. How do you get approval? How is that a nice package where you can send out the information to say, yes, sir, this is good to go. No, I want some changes. If they're ready to sign off, how do you get approval? How do you then get e-sign signed? And then from there, how do you get paid? And then through that's kind of the whole cycle. And now you get into, okay, how do you start the retention cycle? How do you create ambassadors, clients that are so happy they refer you at every opportunity? That is kind of the goal of the CounterWorks Pro platform. And we like to say, repeat the cycle and make it scalable. So that's kind of what we're working on. But I hope that's a good answer. That's a big, complex scenario. But what we're trying to get people to do is start thinking digital first. So let's wrap this up, Sarah. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I know if people have any additional questions, I feel free to reach out to accountingworkspro.com or give us a call at 1-800-442-247 extension 3 with any additional questions. Again, we look forward to talking to you soon.